Item number 3, establishment of quorum.
Here.
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 At this time, would somebody entertain a motion to move item number 6 next?
Make a motion to move item number 6 up. Second. Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Aye.
Yes.
Item number 6, presentation and memorial for Maria Reyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the City of Socorro, we would like to send our deepest condolences to the family of Mrs. Maria Reyes. Maria Reyes was a strong member of her community who served proudly as a city councilwoman and worked towards the overall haul and change of our beloved Socorro. Mrs. Reyes was instrumental at leading the city into various economic growth for a prosperous future. She was a woman of the people who devoted her attention to her constituents and always concerned herself with the overall conditions of our staff. Throughout her time with us, she always got to know every person frequently, bringing us baked treats, and always had her spunky attitude. She worked diligently with our police department to ensure they received the rightful treatment, leadership, and equipment they needed in order to keep our community safe. I would like to echo all the lovely sentiments that have been said about this amazing woman. She is not only in our thoughts, but also in our hearts. We will continue to work under her mission of promoting and maintaining the City of Socorro, as well as the Mission Trail, to be the jewel of the valley that she loves so much. On behalf of everyone from the City of Socorro, staff, commissioners, and council, we share in the loss of a great leader, mentor, and friend. Again, we express our deepest condolences and hold not only Mrs. Reyes, but her family and friends in our thoughts and prayers. At this time, we'd like to go ahead and share a short video of Mrs. Maria Reyes. At this time, we'd like to go ahead and recognize Mrs. Gomez that's in the audience and their daughter Anita that represent Maria Reyes' family.
Mayor and Council, good evening, and community of Socorro. Thank you very much for that beautiful memorial and also for the wonderful and beautiful words that were spoken at her funeral. I loved Maria very much. She was more like a sister to me than a friend. We went through many things together, our pláticas over coffee, lunch, dinner, and I got to know her very well. All I want to say is that she was a true warrior, a warrior for justice and for what was right. Though many times they might have misjudged her good intentions. And I know they were good because many times I stood beside her. And I know that everything was done out of her heart for the good of our community of Socorro, for our senior citizens and all that the people that she reached out to. She was strong, and yes, there was times that I did tell her, please don't do this anymore because you don't deserve. Many other times that I did not approve of how she was treated. But you know what? She will go down as a true warrior indeed of justice and righteousness. And I just want you all to know that even though she's gone, she will continue to live through us. Keep her alive and keep fighting for what is right and just within this city. I love you all. I love my city, and I love Maria Reyes. She will always be my sister in spirit, and she will live through us and through me. I thank you very much, and God bless you. Y no se olviden de ella, porque sí era en verdad una soldada de justicia y de derechos para nuestra comunidad. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Item number 4, public comment.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The NAACP has called charter schools the civil rights movement of our generation. Charter schools do not follow the same guidelines as public schools. Teachers do not have to be certified or have background checks, and there is no due process for students at charter schools. IDEA Charter School has dismissed several students with identified disabilities due to their lack of services they need to provide. A public school would be hit with federal lawsuits if they denied services. School choice is not a choice, but a financial venture, as charter schools need to turn profit for private investors. Please delete item number 5, Proclamation to School Choice Week. No child should be used to turn a profit, especially when it comes with the gift of an education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. Good evening, Council and community. Two things. I'd like to echo deleting the item because for 2 reasons. Partly because of what was mentioned, but the second, because it's a little late. It seems out of time, out of place. It looks like we're trying to go back in time to put something in place that didn't happen. Anyway, it's just a little confusing because it's declaring a January week of 2019. So, that's confusing. And I'd like to echo Mr. Alex's comments about charter schools. I'm not going to go into great detail. And this is the first time I'm hearing about the school dismissing students, but that's maybe because I don't have my ear to the ground as good as he does. As far as elementary schools or the schools in the area. But I do know about the schools not requiring teachers to have a certification. That's alarming. I think that was alarming to a friend who has his or her child in that school and didn't find out until several months, 6 months until after they were enrolled. And so I thought that was sort of deceiving, maybe on their part, not having that up front, because it's important. Anyway, I'm not going to go into more details about that, but I don't like the idea of that school, of charter schools, or creating this week of recognition of school choice. I think it leads to a lot more ideas that I don't think Socorro stands for. Update on Stockyard, there's still a lot of speeding going on. A lot of trailers, a lot of tractors, a lot of trucks with lots of rocks speeding through there, hitting the bumps, and lots of stuff falling out. Danger, safety, kids, especially now that the sun is staying out longer, so kids are going to the park a little bit more later and more often. So, you know, still a problem. What else do I want to say in public comment that's not on the agenda? I thank you guys for your service. Oh, I submitted my resignation from the Civil Service Commission, since I mentioned that at the last meeting. And as far as canceling meetings, I like to reiterate that I think it would be helpful if we could share that on social media, even just reminders of when the meetings are, and then also if it gets canceled. I already told Ms. Rolarte about that. And I'd like to actually say my condolences to the family of Ms. Reyes. I was active in the city already when she was my representative for District 1, so my condolences. Thank you, Ms. Navarro.
Gracias. Bueno, el motivo de mi presencia es básicamente para hablar sobre nuestra calle de la Ormsby, ya que en ocasiones que llueve bastante nos inundamos y no puede haber paso ahí. Entonces ya nos han negado el servicio de la basura, incluso del correo, porque no pueden entrar para hacer su servicio. Entonces el detalle de este tema es por seguridad de nosotros, una emergencia que necesite entrar, ya sea los bomberos por un incendio, una ambulancia por cuestiones médicas o algo, pues sí nos gustaría que nos ayudaran. Sería todo. Gracias.
Buenas tardes. Miren, el motivo también de mi presencia aquí es por la misma razón de la calle Ormsby. Tengo alrededor yo de 11 años con ese terreno y el de al lado siempre ha estado ahí. Es un peligro ese terreno. Hemos venido varias veces a pedir que nos vayan a limpiar ese terreno porque es mucha la hierba, muchos los animales que allí hay. Y hay un tejabán ahí que está cualquier aire y ya está levantando las láminas. Hay niños a ratos y una lámina que vuele con el aire puede dañar incluso a los niños o simplemente lo que hay allí. Otra de las razones es que en tiempo de calor es muy peligroso un incendio ahí. No tenemos los servicios, no hay agua y no se podría, acabaría en un ratito ahí con todo. Mi casa es una traila, por lo tanto hay mucho más peligro de que pueda pasar algo malo. Y repito, hemos puesto quejas, hemos venido a pedir que nos limpien ese terreno y hasta ahorita no hemos conseguido una respuesta. Les agradecería mucho que nos tomen en cuenta porque sí nos tienen muy olvidados en esa calle. Y yo soy la que menos tiempo tengo ahí y mis vecinos dicen que son años y años que han estado pidiendo que se haga algo y hasta la fecha pues no sé cuál sea el problema. Gracias.
Thank you. I'm also here to talk about Ormsby Court and Socorro. That street right there, like they were mentioning, my other neighbors, it doesn't have any services. There's no water. You know, light is there because of the previous owners that had left them there when they did the division of those lots. Also, it's really hard when it rains to get out of there if you don't own a 4x4 vehicle. You know, luckily I do, and I've been helping out my neighbors. We take it upon ourselves, myself and my father, to actually level and fill the road. Whenever after the rain passes, You know, we leveled it, make it passable, because if we wouldn't be doing it, nobody would be able to go in and out. We take it upon ourselves because we own property there. Also, there are vacant lots that are not taken care of. We've got it and cited from you guys numerous times, and our lot is the cleanest. So whoever's out there taking this in consideration, they're obviously getting the addresses wrong. We come and say, but then the lots that are dirty never get cleaned as well. Also, they're running illegal businesses that shouldn't be there. There's a lot of business that run without permits, and there's an accumulation of vehicles, of junk vehicles that do not move. There's properties that you can count at least 100 vehicles, and nobody has said anything or done anything. And one of the properties, I had 25 to 30 vehicles, and they got removed by you guys as soon as 10 days. If not, we would go to court, go to jail, do this, do that, and the other properties are still there. We would just like for you guys to help us out, because also there's neighbors that take it upon themselves to put roadblocks or speed bumps with rocks filled with dirt that are at least 12 inches high. I removed them myself, because then the cars wouldn't be passable. It creates conflict against neighbors, and there is no lighting, and police never goes around there. So I mean, at night there's people drinking because it's a dead end. It's just a plain mess, and we really need some help out there from you guys, and whatever we can get would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Garcia, City Council of Socorro, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. In respect to the school choice proclamation, I would like to share some public information with you. The source of this data is the Texas Education Agency, where IDEA self-reports. One of your items says access to the highest quality education, quality teaching professionals. Charters are not required to employ certified teachers. IDEA Rio Vista does not list any classroom teachers on their website, therefore certifications cannot be verified. IDEA teachers hold an average of 2 years of classroom experience, where your local ISD, their teachers hold an average of 13 years of classroom experience. Area public schools class size average, 17. IDEA's class size averages 29 students. The next item, preparing successful adults. IDEA graduates a significantly lower number of students than public schools. In 2016, IDEA graduated only 507 across the state, leaving many to question, where are the remaining students? Did they get kicked out? Did they go back to their home campus? Or were they just pushed out of school and forced to become high school dropouts? IDEA requires their high school seniors to be accepted to college or university, or they do not graduate. This is a result of the no due process rights. Students do not have them, nor do the teachers. Students are simply removed from IDEA rosters, leaving families on their own to figure it out with no support. 30% of IDEA graduates require remedial courses their first semester of college. The next item on your proclamation discusses economic diversity, vitality, and community vibrancy. Studies from Harvard and Princeton, dated 2017, illustrate that Texas charters have a direct negative impact on lifetime earnings from charter graduates. School choice is code for privatization of public education. There are no democratically elected trustees for your constituents to question, hold accountable, or have any voice in their children's education. In the current school year, IDEA received $401 million. Students at Sanchez Middle School are funded at $6,600 apiece, while students at IDEA Rio Vista are funded at $9,600 apiece. That expense is burdened by not only the taxpayers, but the students of Sanchez Middle School, Waco Elementary, Socorro High School, and all of the other schools in this community. Public education is the responsibility of all of us to ensure that our students equally receive all of the needs, whether diverse, special needs, English learners, etc. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
The only thing public about IDEA is the fact that they receive taxpayer dollars, clearly at the expense of all students in the community. There is no such thing as a good charter when we educate this child, subsidize on the back of that child. I strongly urge City Council of Socorro to reject this false choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to have the discussion on the semi-trucks. It seems that Socorro has a problem when it comes to semi-trucks. They're all over the place. I have family members within all the districts, and I visited, a sample, and within all the districts that you guys are representing, there's a bunch of violations out there. So it's starting to lead to me that two things are happening that are not happening. Whether code enforcement is not being out there and enforcing, the ordinance, or our PD department is not doing their job either. So it doesn't take me that much to go visit a family member or a friend and see semi-trucks. So I challenge code enforcement and our PD to be a little bit more out in the streets and not just go and just go what they're doing on their day, but to look out and keep an eye on what's going on as well too. In the Valles, it's really bad. The subdivision that is right across from City Hall, the Monte Vista and all that area, it's really, really bad as well too. The streets are torn up as well, and I could conclude that it's part of the semi-truck problem that we're having. Also, I'll be talking about a little bit about the parking ordinance once it comes into that section. And as well too with the charter school, totally against the proclamation, because when they don't meet the qualifications or they don't set the standards as grade levels, they get kicked back. They go back to their home school, for say, and what happens is that IDEA keeps that money. So they retain those students for a certain time period, and let's say, for instance, in October, they don't qualify or they don't meet the needs, they get kicked back to Rojas, Hueco, Hilly. So those schools, those public schools, don't end up getting the money because the money already stayed at the registration, which was a home base at IDEA. So we're doing a disservice as well too for our public schools because the funding is not there. So they are having to provide the education, but then they're shortchanged. And we already heard the example right now, the difference ratio. So if a student gets $66, but they get kicked back because they don't meet the qualifications, then that school has to observe that whole year. So they get $0. So that's why I'm against the proclamation as well too. That's all I got for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Ms. Rolarte, Socorrans. On an issue that's been real close to my heart for the last, we're 3 months shy of 4 years working on this one problem that we have. And I understand we're going to make a decision tonight. I would just like to reiterate everything that we have gone through in the past 3.5 years as a reminder. It seems like the developer will benefit totally, and I don't see where we would benefit anything for the Socorro area. Even after we have pleaded with them to allow an easement and put a 6-foot rock wall. They agreed that they would. We agreed on the footage. From what I see on paperwork this afternoon, it's not there. And if they're doing that now, Lord only knows what they're going to do in the future. I don't think they're doing us a right thing here. Thank you so much.
Mr. Rodriguez?
At this time, I would like to delete item number 5.
Second.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
May I make a statement?
Yes.
I wholeheartedly agree with canceling this proclamation. I am a former school principal, and I understand the importance of having highly qualified teachers delivering instruction. And what ends up happening is, yes, the state does provide, it's called average daily attendance, and that's the monetary funding that we get from the school gets from the state per child. And so I can tell you that having had an over $1 million budget under my belt in running a campus, that every cent is important because you're trying to deliver the quality instruction as it is to the students that need it the most. And so again, this is not something that I would endorse, and I'm glad that we're not pursuing this. Thank you.
Yes.
At this time, Mr. Rodriguez?
I didn't know we were going to say something, but, you know, I totally agree. Our kids, our children are our future. It's sad to hear that you're getting education from people who are not certified, who may or may not have the qualifications as our teachers. And if we continue this route, then what kind of a future we're going to have if they're not, you know, properly educated to educate our children who are going to be our future. You know, and that's why I made the motion to delete, because I stand with our teachers, because they get the education to make sure that our children are taught for our future. So, you know, I stand with public schools.
At this time, can somebody entertain a motion to move item number 26 and number 32 next?
So moved.
Second.
Is it 26 and
26 and 32.
and can we add 35 as well?
Second. Mr. Perez. Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 26, discussion and action on the approval request to accept the proposed land dedication of Ormsby Court, being a portion of Tract 12, Block 10, Socorro grant from the property owners to the city of Socorro, formalizing said streets as a public road.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
May I? Go ahead.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Socorro has been plagued for many years on streets that aren't dedicated to the city. Unfortunately, you know, as years pass, it takes time, and a lot of time. I just want to say that when in 2013 there was Fray Holguin, this street took us 3.5 years to be dedicated to the city. There's other streets as well, and those are the reasons why we cannot put any taxpayer money on these streets, because the city doesn't own those. Unfortunately, you know, as time goes on, you know, there's a lot of red tape, but this is one of the other streets that we're gonna try to hopefully put into our streets, so that we can start, you know, maintaining it and alleviate the burden that you guys have sustained for many years.
Ms. Villalobos?
I'm gonna kind of say what you're saying in Spanish para los que hablan español. Esta calle, para empezar, Ormsby, no estaba dedicada a la ciudad de Socorro. Desgraciadamente, la ley dice que no podemos gastar dinero de la ciudad o de los que pagan impuestos para una calle que no está dedicada. A veces no estamos educados, ¿verdad?, en estas cosas. Yo cuando empecé no sabía que una calle, yo sabía de esta calle, y me dijeron que no estaba dedicada y que había varias personas, porque me hablaron por teléfono, que no querían dedicarla. Entonces ese es uno de los problemas, que no hemos podido entrar a sus calles y ayudarles. Y eso quería que estuviera muy claro, y espero que estemos de acuerdo todos aquí, que podamos, ¿verdad?, hacer algo por ustedes, ya que se dedique la calle a la ciudad de Socorro.
Council, just as an update, is that I think they've been working on the dedication since 2002. However, there has been some deceased, property owners and some change of property owners. So going back to the paperwork and trying to formalize everything, we found out that we need to actually start from the very beginning, and that's with a survey. We did go out and ask for a cost on a survey. Mr. Joe Terrazas, what would be that cost?
Yes, in 2004, we already had acquired most of the signatures, and the city went out for bids to see how much it would cost. The lowest bid was $39,949. That was in 2004. Right now, we're estimating that it's gonna be really, really close or exceed the $50,000 if we go out for a survey. That's not including the materials required for the pavement and the base material, or the oil and everything that.
So the survey is important for us to go out and try to get the dedication, right? We identify the property owners, we start the dedication. After the dedication is done, then we will place the item on the agenda or in the paving list, so we can go ahead and do it with our new COs.
Mr. Rodriguez?
So, right now, we're gonna accept the dedication, but if it goes and exceeds over 50,000, you're gonna have to come back to us, because we're gonna have to go out.
No,
Or we're agreeing upon
correct. Right now,
just to go out.
we're asking council to give us direction.
Okay.
If you want us to pursue the
Yes.
surveying, and then we'll do all of what's required through the procurement process, and then we'll come back to council with more information.
Okay.
Okay, but right now, this is all we're doing, is trying to get direction from council, how you want to proceed.
So you would have to amend your motion.
Yes. At this time, I would like to amend my motion to approve the dedication and to go out to do the,
For staff.
yes, to staff,
To start,
to start doing the,
start to formalize the process.
yes.
Can we have several speakers for this item, Mayor? Our first speaker is Sergio Fox.
Second.
Second. Mr. Perez.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. As you recall, I used to be on this city council, and I've put in about 6 years working for the city of Socorro. When Ormsby first came up, I worked in favor of trying to get that street dedicated and getting it going back when I was on council, and helping District 4 Representative Anthony Gandara at that time. There was these issues of the dedication again, and things that just kept us from doing it. But I am in favor of having that street done, because not only is it needed, it's nothing but dirt road, but I also know that there's other streets that I have, for the longest time, had on the list up here, like Range War was one of the streets that is nothing but dirt road, and I've been having that street on there, and it was approved years ago, and it never got done, and it was approved by this council, and I got fought on it. I don't know why it keeps getting put on the back burner. It has more people on that street than Ormsby does. Now, mind you, when I campaigned for District 1 representative, I campaigned that I was going to try to get all of these streets, like Parker Road, some of these streets down here right behind City Hall over here, to get them dedicated and paved. Those people have been trying for years, since Socorro came into existence, to get their streets paved. So if we're going to do it, let's do it right. Let's do it with the streets that the people that have been asking for some time, and they have also been asking for some time. I'm not taking that away from them. But don't forget these other streets like Parker and Range War that are in District 1 that need to be taken care of. I spoke with District 1 representative about that some time ago. Thank you.
Miriam Cruz.
I'd just like to show my support to the neighbors from Ormsby Road. They were here last time when the meeting was supposed to be held. Unfortunately, it wasn't. But we spoke for a good hour. Como una hora estuvimos hablando, ¿verdad? De sus problemas que me contaron de Ormsby. Y it's unfortunate that it's been happening since 2002. I mean, that's crazy to me. I feel like that maybe that's what's going to happen with Stockyard, right? I'm going to keep bugging you guys for another 20 years before maybe that problem happens, gets resolved. But anyway, I hope that, I'm just here to show my support for them, and I hope that something can be resolved. And I hope that we don't, you know, obviously there are a lot of streets that need fixing, but we can't fix them all. And if we can start with theirs, and they've been obviously, you know, they're all here. They're all hoping to get dedicate their land, and they're all hoping to get some help. So I hope that we can help them as a city. Thank you.
Bueno, ya lo había mencionado antes, pero sí nos gustaría que nos ayudaran o nos digan qué se puede hacer con esos dos terrenos, porque al parecer son dos terrenos nomás los que están faltando esa firma. Entonces somos la mayoría los que estamos de acuerdo. Está un terreno que es de la escuela, ellos dijeron que estaban de acuerdo, incluso los que tienen ahí los como botes de basura, algo así. Ellos están dispuestos también a firmar sobre la calle. Prácticamente son dos firmas las únicas que están faltando para esa calle, para la autorización de pavimentación. Entonces, nosotros nos surge lo que son los servicios, el drenaje, el agua, y no podemos tenerlos hasta que no lo autoricen ustedes, porque nos dijeron que hasta que no tenga derecho la ciudad sobre esa calle nos podían meter los servicios. Entonces, pues son dos firmas las que están faltando. Al parecer, en una de ellas ya fallecieron los dueños. Yo he estado tratando de localizar, incluso a otros terrenos fui a sus domicilios, están abandonados. No tengo modo de localizarlos. Mis vecinos también me han estado apoyando al respecto, y pues sí les agradecería, porque son prácticamente dos firmas y sí es una necesidad, la verdad. Gracias.
María Soledad.
Bueno, pues la situación sigue siendo la misma hasta hoy. Sabemos que usted es nuestra representante. Venimos todos los vecinos por la misma situación. Son servicios necesarios. Tiempo de calor, huele a fosa ahí todo alrededor. Ahora, pienso yo que por dos firmas, pues ¿hasta cuándo vamos a seguir así? Yo pienso que ustedes como autoridad tienen el modo de hacer algo al respecto. Como dice mi hija, ya anduvimos hasta buscando a los dueños, no los encontramos. En uno de ellos, de hecho, el último domicilio que tiene, está abandonada también esa casa. Y como nos interesa, es por eso que nos hemos andado moviendo por nuestra cuenta. Pues les suplicamos que hagan algo. Es una calle pequeña, no es una avenida, es una privada pequeña. Somos alrededor de 10 dueños ahí, y por dos firmas, pues no me parece justo que estemos en esta situación. Yo les agradezco lo que puedan hacer por nosotros. Gracias.
You guys mentioned you guys had to start from the beginning as far as surveying and trying to get everybody going. We don't have a survey, of course. I mean, the lots are properly surveyed, you know, when they were bought, and we do have paperwork for them. Most likely, I guess your survey would be to find the center of the road, try to find medians, and also do your shoulder work and things like that. There is a problem with the water there. I'll show this picture for you. This is halfway into the street, And that street is about a quarter of a mile, and that's what it looks like when it rains. We're willing to put our part on it as well. You know, if you guys need any help, the lots are pretty big. I understand the way it works. I know that if there is no water flow, you know, that we can also, some of our neighbors, I'm willing myself to do ponding areas on the lands that we have in there to help out, you know? So, I mean, I know it's not just up to you guys. Well, I mean, we're willing to help as well. Whatever the survey comes out, and if the land is not leveled properly to drain out, you know, I mean, I'm almost owner of almost 2 acres. So, I mean, you guys are freedom as long as we can get this done. You guys were already there a year and a half ago helping us out, and we really appreciate it because this was the worst year when it rained. I don't know who took the machines out there, but you guys were there. So, I mean, I don't see why, you know, we can't get the help the following year or the year. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We're unable to read the name, so anybody would like to speak on that item? We're unable to read how they signed. ¿Alguien más se había apuntado para este artículo? Ms. Villalobos?
I have several questions, okay? Tengo varias preguntas. To our attorney, a nuestro abogado. Is it a charter or a Texas law that we have to have 100% participant in order to have that street dedicated? I'm going to repeat it in Spanish. Estoy preguntándole que si es una ley de Texas o de la ley del charter de nosotros, que si tenemos que tener el 100% de participación, o sea, de las firmas de los dueños, para poder dedicar esta calle.
I believe that's Texas law. I don't think it's a charter issue.
Dice que él piensa que es ley de Texas. Yo también así lo leí hace un tiempo. Estaba otro de sus vecinos que vino a verme y que si les podía ayudar con la calle, pero habían varias personas que no estaban de acuerdo. Entonces se necesitaba el 100% de participación. Esa es una. Dos, me gustaría hablar con ustedes, es la primera vez que los veo. Si me conocen, soy una persona que de veras voy y trato de hacer todo lo que pueda posible para ayudarles. Me están diciendo que son 2 firmas ahora y que no los pueden encontrar. Can we use our attorneys or our administration to try to find those people?
Correct, that's why we need the survey to identify exactly.
Okay, through a survey. Okay.
So the survey will identify exactly what our next step will be.
Okay. Yo voy a tratar de ayudarles a ustedes por parte de mis bienes y raíces, que es mi otro trabajo, de tratar de encontrar esas personas. Lo he hecho antes en el pasado. Entonces, si antes de irse les puedo dar mi tarjeta para que puedan hablar conmigo y nos podemos poner de acuerdo. ¿Y qué más? Se me hace que era todo, nomás quería que supieran que sí estoy aquí para servir. Ok, gracias.
Mr. Perez?
I do have another question. Can we contemplate using eminent domain for those that say that they hold out in signing? Can we contemplate that?
It has to be for, you can use it as a pawn.
I don't see why not, but I have to look at it. The use of eminent domain, I have to get back to you specifically.
Lo que le pregunté al abogado es de que si podrían usar el poder de la ciudad para tomar cargo de esas 2 propiedades, legalmente obviamente, pero también como todo hay un procedimiento, entonces vamos a también investigar por esa avenida si es de que por si acaso no se encuentran los dueños de esas 2 propiedades o no están dispuestos a ceder el derecho a la ciudad. Okay.
Mr. Rodriguez?
When we take the vote and we make a decision, I just want to address everybody in Ormsby that it is not an easy fix. This is the beginning of a process that takes a long time. The difference between you and Fray Holguín is that in Fray Holguín, everybody agreed and it still took 3.5 years to get it done. And that's what I want you to understand, is that just because we take the initial steps does not mean that in a month or two, it's going to be resolved. It's a start, and we're going to try to get it done as fast as we can. Casi no lo hago, pero lo voy a decir en español. Nosotros ahorita vamos a tomar una decisión, vamos a tomar un voto en lo que vamos potencialmente a hacer. Yo lo que les quiero dar a entender, y se oye bien feo, ¿verdad?, cuando uno les dice eso, pero quiero que sepan que este es el principio, si es que votamos por esto, es el principio de un proceso muy largo. Hay otra calle, se llama Fra Holguín. Esa es casi igual la situación en lo que ustedes están pasando, con la diferencia que ellos todos estaban vivos y todos firmaron, y duramos 3 años y medio para arreglarla. Es un proceso muy largo. No quiero que piensen que sí sale en favor de ustedes. No quiero que piensen que en 2-3 meses van a tener un pavimento, van a tener servicios. Yo lo que quiero que entiendan es que es el proceso para comenzar, para hacer el principio. Para mí, es un proceso. Quiero que entiendan que nosotros no les podemos poner muchos servicios porque el del agua es otra identidad y no está abajo de la ciudad. Son los servicios. Nosotros en este proceso vamos a tener que comunicar con los demás para ponerle los servicios antes de nosotros pavimentar las calles, porque no vamos a gastar su dinero a hacerlo y luego que vengan y la vayan a cortar. Entonces no queremos hacer el trabajo 2 veces porque no quiero cobrarle 2 veces. Eso es un proceso, y quiero que nomás tengan conciencia que sí vamos, potencialmente ayudarles. Okay?
Mayor, I remembered my last question.
Ms. Villalobos?
Okay. I'm sorry. And I want to respect Mr. Cox's comment about the other streets that have not been or have been voted on to be dedicated but have not happened. And I believe we have a process now where we put them on a list. Is that correct?
For paving.
For paving. Yes. But how about a list for those that are on it?
Dedication. We can
Go back and see and get that list on there. And my other understanding, if I'm not mistaken, just trying to educate the public, if I'm not mistaken, and this is only because I was back there about 7 months ago trying to find a lot for a client. Didn't we just dedicate a street back here? They dedicated it and paved it? Is that true? Right. I don't know what street it is, Mr. Cox, but I just wanted.
Park.
Which one?
Park, I think.
Parker's not paved all the way.
Yeah, but we did have.
Okay. Just so you know, Mr. Cox, if you have not seen it. But I remember it not being dedicated, and all of a sudden it was dedicated, and the city started doing some work. Okay. Thank you.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Before we move on to the next item, I'd like to thank the Reyes family for being here and for the services of Ms. Reyes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 32, discussion and action to award Horizon Construction for excavation of around a third of the Onion Fields Basin in the amount of $1,772,762.10. Option 3, base bid 1 and base bid 2, with alternative 3, stockpile dirt and Waqua, and authorize city manager or her designee to sign contract.
Mayor Michael Lean with the City of Socorro, the city planner. What I'd like to do right now is introduce the engineer. The engineer has prepared a PowerPoint to make a decision upon the alternatives that were delivered to the city. And this is Mr. Jose Reyes from Danabon.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. As you all know, this has been a process to get this project started. We've gone, back and forth on several options, and I think hopefully we have a project we can start construction on here pretty soon. But let me go through, I guess, the process that we did to get this project advertised and then get bids, and we prepared several options built into the bid to give the city alternatives to make sure that they did have a project that they could go forward with. So let me go ahead and start. The project was advertised on December 30th and on January, that's at 6, on January 6th. We received 8 bids, which is really a good sampling. Every time you want to advertise a project, you want to get several bids, and that drives up competition. The bids were open on January 11th. We took all the bids, we inputted them into a spreadsheet to kind of tally all the numbers to see what the total bids were for each contractor. We provided all these bids to the city, and after we took all the numbers, we provided them several options that based on, we had 2 base bids. Base bid 1 was to just build the basin itself. Base bid 2 was to construct the culvert under the road to get the water into the basin. And we had an alternate also for, the whole basin's gonna have a fence surrounding the basin, but we're not only gonna put the fence around the small portion of the basin we're gonna build, but around the whole property, because eventually that whole basin is gonna be constructed. We don't wanna have to go back and build some more fence. So the initial base bid included chain link fence, but at the request of a city planner, he said he wanted to see what it would cost to put a rock wall instead. Rock walls are, obviously they're more attractive and they're more durable. So we did have an alternate for that. And we had an alternate in there to take the dirt and export it from the site. That's the biggest cost to this project is taking the dirt and transporting it out of the from the site and disposing of it. So we had an alternate to do that. And the last one, we have just an alternate in there in case during construction there's a major storm and that basin gets full of water before they finish, you want to be able to pump the water out so they can finish the project. That's just one of those just in case. So this is base bid 1, was to propose to build this portion of the basin shown there on the screen, to construct the culvert, and that includes the chain link fence, and then have the stockpile of dirt on site. To do that was a cost of $1.5 million. That's the low bid.
Sir, could you change to the next slide so that the audience can see what the other options? You are just projecting option 1 so far.
Yes,
Do
we're
you
gonna go through the
Okay, you're gonna, okay.
yes. This is only one. So this is the low bid for option 1. Option 2 was again to construct the basin and the culvert, but on this option we said, well, what's it going to cost to to dispose of the dirt from the basin? So in this option, it was also a chain link fence. This option was $1.9 million to do the project. So that was option number 2. Option number 3 was to do the basin, build the culvert, stockpile of dirt, and then to construct the rock wall, the perimeter of the property. And this is the option is $1.7 million. So you can see there that option 1 and 3 very similar, except you're building a rock wall rather than a chain link fence. It's about a $300,000 difference. Option 3 was the preferred option that we're recommending. Horizon Construction was the low bidder at the low bid cost of $1,772,762. And I'll take any questions now.
Mr. Rodriguez?
That's for
Yes, sir.
So just to be on the same page, number 3 consists of a rock wall all around the onion field, complete,
Correct, for the
Correct.
whole property.
with the culvert across the street,
Yes, sir.
and what we're taking out from 1/3 of it, piling it up on the next
Yes.
for 1.7.
We are gonna dispose of the top 5 feet of it, and we're gonna, that's gonna be delivered to the Lower Valley Water Improvement District. That's already in the bid. They expressed, that they can use that as clay for, you know, their levees, their ditches. And, nobody wants that material anyway, so we want to go and get rid of that dirt. That's already included in this bid cost. Yes, sir.
Mr. Perez?
Thank you. Between option 2 and the other 2 options, we have stockpile dirt. What does that mean? What is the difference between the 2?
Well,
Because
the cost to export the dirt out of the project is one of the most expensive. We had that option there because we want to make sure that we had a project that the city could award, give you the option, okay, that dirt, we're gonna eventually, work with developers to see if they can take the dirt. I think the county has expressed, interest in taking the dirt also where they need fill. So if we can, we find someone to take the dirt, you don't gotta pay for it. You know, the difference in cost, of a cubic yard of dirt, I think it's $2.50, $2.50 a cubic yard versus like, I think $7 cubic yard. So that's why that right now we're leaving the dirt there for now.
just for clarification then, option 2 is having the dirt removed by a contractor already and just getting rid of it.
Correct, he
The
takes it.
other options are having the dirt there until such time that we can get rid of it through developers, I guess?
Develop-
So we have different entities that have expressed interest
Okay.
in that dirt, like the Lower Valley Water, the Water Irrigation District, and we have the El Paso County that has expressed interest in getting the dirt. So what we'll do is stockpile it and then get it, you know, for the developers to come in and receive
And
that
then
dirt.
one more question. Regarding the rock wall, having a rock wall, wouldn't that be more of an obstacle in terms of having the water flow onto the onion field so that we, instead of a chain link fence?
No, the only water that's gonna get into the basin is through the culvert. That water, that culvert, it comes down from the arroyo, all of I-10, so the only way the water's gonna get there is through that culvert. And another, I guess, Mike, just to, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So what we do now is that every time monsoon season comes, we create a berm.
Right.
Right, so we're no longer gonna create that berm because there's gonna be a culvert that's gonna direct the water into this pond. The rock wall is more for protection of people not wanting to jump in or having to see the dirt. We were able to treat it. There's gonna be gates where our maintenance crew will be able to go in there and kind of be ready for the next phase.
And this is phase 1 of the project. I mean, we still need to finish excavating the whole project, and we're gonna, also coordinate with the Lower Valley Water Improvement District to allow us to input a drain down pipe in there so that even though, that basin gets full, it'll drain down slowly through the mesa drain. Another thing that I just talking to Mike is that cost, you're saving about $300,000. That's something that you can look at, and maybe you can make it a little bigger even. I mean, that's something that we have a cost already. We know what the cost is from the contractor. Maybe they can change order and make it even bigger. I mean, maximize your project.
No, I'm just saying thinking because for the new developments where they have the ponding areas for the new developments, we're making them do rock wall.
Correct.
So this would be consistent with that.
Yes.
Correct, that's something that we're implementing.
Ms. Villalobos?
And I get it, I understand, I just need to put my 2 cents worth. When I purchased my home, it was all chain link fence all the way around. That chain link fence is still up, at least 3 sides, the other side, my neighbor's cows knocked down, but that's a different story. In 2007, I put a beautiful rock wall across my front yard. I've already maintained it twice. My chain link fence, I haven't had to maintain at all. And I bought the house that way. And that's the perspective that I'm trying to get everybody to look at here. I'm just letting you know that's, I'm having, the reason, and I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, we irrigate. We irrigate in the summer 6, 7 times. and that rock wall at the bottom is always wet. So, and that's the portion where I've had to,
The,
go
the
back
mortar,
and-
the mortar,
yes.
right? I think a lot of times, when a lot of developments, when they build the rock walls, they use very little cement, sand ratio. On this rock wall, they're gonna use a much higher cement to sand ratio, so they will not have that type of deterioration.
Believe me, I made sure we used high quality all the time. And the first thing I told the gentleman was, I don't wanna have to be fixing this rock wall over and over and over. But because of the water that sits there at the bottom, I'm having to fix it all the time.
Yeah, on this one, you're gonna have a 15-foot road all the way around basin, so even that basin gets full of water, it won't touch the rock wall. It'll stay 15 feet away from the rock wall.
I hope so, because even if it's only $300,000, we can do so much with that money.
Definitely.
I just want you guys to think about that. Thank you.
What was your recommendation? 3, right?
Yes, option 3.
Well, at this time I make a motion to approve option number 3.
Second.
Mr. Perez?
And I agree with the maintenance of the rock wall, or the potential maintenance of the rock wall. But by the same token, because it's a neighborhood with young kids, the temptation to jump over the chain link fence is there, and it's one of the things that you need to weigh, the overall safety versus, and I agree, the maintenance, but if I understood correctly, the water should never reach the rock wall.
That's correct.
All right.
And, I'm sorry.
Ms. Villalobos?
To rebuttal that, I'm sorry, totally the opposite. I've seen totally the opposite. In my own property, nobody jumps over that, but that rock wall, everybody jumps it. And as a realtor for ponding and whatnot, rock walls are much easier than chain link fences. So, I'm just saying, but you guys make a decision.
Albert Ortiz.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council and City Manager. Okay, now that you're talking about it, I was gonna ask about clarification. What about, our main problem is see above that proposed basin, that area up there? That's where it all actually starts. That's where the problem's been, and it overflows. Why not put any plan of putting something to start stopping it there? Because if you open it up, the whole thing comes down. That's one ponded area. We talked about this a while back.
Yeah.
Also, one more thing. The other part where it says stop, powder, I heard a while back, it was supposed to have been made into a park. It would have been nice in the future, maybe think about it. Sir, that was a plan. Sir, would you reiterate what you said, speaking? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, hope you don't mind about the 3 minutes. Like I said, above the proposed basin, that area is where the water actually comes down. I mean, it comes down and piles up there. And then it would break the barriers. That was a reason for the flooding in 2006. Then again in 2013. So I talked to somebody, I can't remember who, about the first part up there above is where you were supposed to stop the water. That was my plan. And then, of course, let's not forget Sparks, another one. The idea is to hold the water, and then the last one, the proposed basin, would be like an overflow. That's, I don't know if you all had studied that. I thought somebody would have thought, hey, we got to stop it up here, or else maybe you weren't aware of that. Yeah, and also one more thing, like I said, on that area where it says stockpile dirt, it was supposed to have been a park originally. That's, what was the plan originally, if you remember. Okay, thank you, sorry.
Yeah, in the area, the water is designed just to hold the runoff. There is an ultimate, as part of the project, is to design another basin upstream
And that's something that their city is working on, obtaining the property to build another basin. And it'll connect to this, because both ponds together will hold a 100-year flood. This one is just the first stage. But we do have three large culverts going under the Stockyard Road,
Right.
which will take, that's enough capacity to allow the water to get into that basin.
Okay, another one, thank you all.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, we had talked about that and we had thrown ideas. Fortunately, they didn't stick to the wall and they fell down. Our engineer said that we can't basically put a park because we can't hold the 100-year floods. So we have to scratch those ideas. Unfortunately, they were great ideas. You know, I would like it to be a park or even, you know, now that I'm golfing, you know, it could be like they have on Lee Trevino. Unfortunately, we can't do it. Yes. But plans change, and this is the best thing we can. The reason why this is the best is because we will prevent another flooding on that subdivision. That's something that we want to prevent. One more time, Mother Nature has taught us that as time goes by, there's more rain, there's more runoff water, and unfortunately, we're the only ones tackling the situation at the moment. This is the best idea for the city of Socorro and our residents that live right in that area. So unfortunately, you know, I just want to say that, you know, yes, we did have some plans, but unfortunately, our engineer said, you know what, you can't do. This is the best option for the safety of not only our residents in that area, but you know what, for all the taxpayers. Because the taxpayers are going to be the ones fronting the bill every time there's that dam breaks. So this is something that's going to alleviate this and be safer for the near future. So. Nope.
Ma'am, you didn't sign up.
Can we suspend the rules for this lady to speak, please?
We have a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Thank you.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Just one quick question. I'm sorry. I'm Patricia Gardea. Okay. So the whole thing is going to be either chain link or I can't even say it, rock walled?
Around the whole.
Oh, okay. But won't it make it kind of look ghetto? Yeah, because it's basically more than it does now.
You're going to have basically a hole in the ground. You're protecting the hole in the ground.
Okay, no, because I was just wondering, like, when you come down Horizon, or even if you're going up Thunder Road, you know, it's gonna kind of look but it doesn't really look Okay, I was just wondering if it was the whole thing was gonna be thing. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Am I allowed?
Yes.
Yes.
As you all know, I was on council back in 2006 when we had the large flood at Got Valley Ridge. And the reason this field got named the Onion Field back then is because it was farmed out, leased out to the Ivies, and they had an onion field in there when it flooded through and it destroyed the whole crop. Later on, in about the second time that it flooded, I can't remember the year, it also, I believe it was 2012, the dam that we had just above Thunder Road was opened by the council that was in office at the time before I got on. And it subsequently, all that water that came down off of there overwhelmed the whole field, the whole onion field. It did not just stay in one area. It overwhelmed the whole field. It broke into the Water Improvement District's canal, middle drain, I believe it's middle drain service, I guess. Mesa Spur Drain, yes. And subsequently, after it flooded that, because the pipes were plugged up, it flooded Patty Joe neighborhood. What I see here is that the proposed basin, I don't know how deep that's going to be, how deep you plan on making it, because both times that we had these floods in this area, it flooded and it took the water all the way to Horizon Boulevard. And it was renamed Thunder Lake because it took so long to get it drained out and cleaned out. The problem then was, we could not allow water to come off of there onto the water improvement, the canal, unless we had a permit with the canal. We got it passed to get that taken care of with the water improvement district, and it did. But subsequently, we ended up with the lawsuit that came out of Patty Joe, losing quite a bit of money on this. I approve this. I'm in favor of this. It's a step in the right direction, but it's too small. I'm telling you right now. We cannot predict how much water will come down off of there. All you have to do is look at the arroyo and the water that comes down here at Avenue Americas on the Ivy property, just on the other side of Avenue Americas. And all you have to do is look at that big holding reservoir tank that they have there to see how much water collects there. Another example is the Reynolds spaghetti bowl. I was working on the police department when we had to take care of that flood. It flooded out that whole neighborhood. Subsequently, the city of El Paso had to buy all those houses and all that property. And they had to create a reservoir in there that was much larger than this. This is a step in the right direction. Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, I was instrumental in getting this piece of property when I was on council and buying it because of the flooding issues. What we don't have is, I like to know where's the water that builds up on that. Where's it going to drain? Is it going to drain into the canal, or did we get a permit with them? Did we get an agreement with them?
Can I answer his questions?
Yes, yes.
This is just phase one. To build the whole entire system to hold the 100-year flood, it'll cost probably approximately between $9 and $10 million. Because even this one here, it's only about a little over a quarter of the actual onion field. So this basin itself, when it's fully built, it'll probably handle maybe 50-year flood. This first phase will handle probably your 10 to maybe 15-year flood, which is your normal rainfalls. You're going to have some capacity, but with the idea is to continue to build on it. So there's another basin that's recommended in conjunction with this one is off I-10, and that one, in conjunction with this one, will hold your 100-year flood. So this is just kind of, like you said, a step in the right direction. Phase one, there's much more that need to be done, but of course, money prohibiting, we can finish the whole project.
Let me ask another question while we're talking about it. We had a holding area right there, right above where the culvert that you're proposing, and that was originally a ponding area as well, where a holding tank there before it broke loose. Are we planning on continuing to make that a holding area, or just let it go on?
That doesn't really hold much water. We looked at it, but it just doesn't provide much capacity. That's more to I guess, channel water into the actual basin itself. But those culverts there they're large. I believe they're 3 5x4 boxes, so it's huge capacity to get the water into the basin itself. And the depth, it's not as deep as we'd like it to be, but because of the groundwater, we can't make it any deeper.
And what is the depth of the proposed basin?
I believe 15 feet.
15?
Yeah, and and as far as the water going into the irrigation district, we're going to work with the irrigation district because they do have we did sign their agreements to provide a pipe from the basin into the drain, not to take the runoff off a storm, but just drain the basin down. You mentioned it take a long time. Well, this hopefully with a pipe just to be able to allow it to drain faster, drain down.
No, this is a step in the right direction. I am all for this.
Mr. Cox.
I propose that.
We're going to go ahead and take the vote. Thank you for your
Council,
comments.
we're
All right,
gonna move
thank
on.
you.
Thank you. On this motion, Mr. Martinez has that for authority to review and finalize the contract and for the city manager's authority to, or her designee to sign it once approved by Mr. Martinez.
So moved.
Second. Mayor?
Mr. Rodriguez?
I just want to, for the record, 2013 when it got flooded and it flooded our individuals, it's not only because of this area. It was in the Coker and Worsham area down, a couple of miles down, where the water with sand clogged up the canal, and that's why it clogged all the way up to here. So there was a conjunction of both areas that clogged the canal, and therefore it all inundated the whole area. That's why we did go and talk to the irrigation district, because we needed some resolution on what we're going to do with that running water. I just want to just reiterate again that it wasn't just because of this area. It was because a couple of miles down the road, it got clogged.
Let's move on.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
At this time, I would, like to recognize Georgina Perez. She is our District 1 representative, member of the State Board of Education. And she brings up a good point, our kids are our future. They need to be taught by people certified that has all the proper training. And I just want to say thank you for doing a great job and continue doing a great job.
Item number 35, discussion and action to approve proposed development agreement for Vista Bonita Estates.
Motion to approve for discussion.
What?
To move the item 35?
Oh, it's already been, we had already made the motion to approve.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, we already made the motion to approve.
Yes, we
It
moved it.
was, yeah, it was, 20.
Mr. Perez added that
26, 32, and 35.
32 and
So
35.
it's legal. So motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Mr. Martinez on this one has said he doesn't have the development agreement to postpone. He does? Okay, well,
But
or maybe he hasn't,
has it been reviewed?
I don't think so. My notes here from him are to postpone this one.
Okay, all right. So I'll rescind my motion at this time, and I'll make a motion to postpone so that legal counsel will have ample time to review it.
Okay, so the development agreement is on the floor, it's just we haven't heard from the developer. So I don't know if that's the reason why we're postponing it, but Jim was the one that sent us this agreement that you have attached.
But
He
it's
sent
still
us with the
unclear as
changes, but I'm pretty sure that they haven't heard from the developer back. And that's why he's probably asking to postpone, or maybe because he's not here, he's asking to postpone.
Okay.
So motion to postpone?
Second. Aye. Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Moving back to item number 7, presentation by city manager regarding November and December's 2018 monthly report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to give you the highlights for our monthly report for November and December combined. Municipal Courts Department collected $54,865 in the month of November. For December, it was $44,674. They received 352 citations from Socorro Police Department, 28 citations from Department of Public Safety, and 47 ordinance violations for the month of November. For December, they received 299 citations from Socorro PD, 24 citations from Department of Public Safety, and 22 ordinance violations. The HR department celebrated November's and December's birthdays and anniversaries on December 21st for both months. Employee of the month for November was Erica Rivera, our admin assistant from Parks and Public Works, and for December we had Rocio Enijosa, Recreations Department. We had a civil service in November, the grievance of Mr. Eddie Smith, and he was reinstated. We also had a civil service for interviews of the chief of police in December. We had one separation. Brian Fernandez left for other employment, and we had 5 new hires in November. Mayela Granados, executive assistant. Stephanie Triste, police officer. Veronica Zamora, labor and parks, for Parks and Public Works. Fidel Cineceros from Parks and Public Works. Julie Franco, our city auditor. The Parks and Public Works Department, November and December, picked up water on November 1st for Oslo, Stedham, Skylight, Haynes, Escudo, Montevideo, Montemayor, Lydia, Dodson, and Patty Joe. They reimbursed the burn for Thunder, assisted recreations with the Winterfest event, maintenance Socorro Mission subdivision and Grand Valley subdivision, added screening and topsoil to the Bulldog Park and resurfaced the landscape, opened Thunder Road, disposed of all trash and debris to comply with the MS4 permit at the Public Works Yard, and continue to maintain and mow and groom all city parks and ponding areas. Our police department received 2012 calls for the month of November. For the month of December, 2044. In November, there was 4 canine seizures reported, and police officers continued to attend trainings to keep them in compliance with their TCLO certification. Our city clerk department for the month of November conducted and prepared minutes for 1 regular meeting and 1 civil service meeting, received 29 open records requests and responded to 33, prepared 5 publication hearings for ordinances. In the month of December, city clerk conducted and prepared minutes for 1 regular meeting and 1 civil service meeting, received 28 open records requests and responded to 27, prepared 1 public hearing for the Sparks Arroyo. Our planning and zoning department collected a total of $15,360 for November, and for December was $15,538. They issued 166 permits in November, 113 in December, 17 registrations in November, 17 in December, issued 8 applications in November and 3 in December, and issued 18 letters in November and also 18 letters in December. Recreations Department for November and December activity, they had the Senior Thanksgiving Luncheon, Harvest Luncheon for staff, Winter Festival and Parade, El Paso County Housing Authority Press Conference at Rio Vista, HLC meeting November 7th, Operation Noel Pickup, Senior Citizens Christmas Dance, Socorro High School Special Education Field Trip, Photos with Santa, and there was no Historical Land Commission meeting in December. Our IT department conducted site testing on our new network. VoIP system final switch was done in December and troubleshooted all IT-related issues for all city departments. Our grants department, public outreach and engagement activities in compliance with TECQ for our MS4 permit, submission of grant application to the Texas Historical Commission fiscal year 2019 for Rio Vista Library Project. We were awarded $2,500 grant from the National Trust of Historical Preservation for the Rio Vista Library Engineering Project. And we were also awarded $10,720 from the Rio Grande Council of Governments for a solid waste combined with the Lower Valley Water, scheduling a tentative date. Ms. Valadez also provides stormwater management activities to the community to comply with our MS4 permit. And those are the highlights for our November and December. Do you all have any questions? Thank you.
Good job.
Moving on to consent agenda, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second. Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 15, public hearing of an ordinance requested by the Texas Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on FM 76 North Loop from 55 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour and from 35 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour on school zones in North Loop. 724, public hearing is now open.
I'm just going to reiterate what I've mentioned in other meetings and what happens in planning and zoning, an explanation or maybe even the ordinance being talked about a little bit more before the public hearing is open, I think would be helpful for the public. As far as the actual ordinance, excuse me, I thought that maybe a map would have been helpful in the backup, or even for the public to see. Some people, members from the public, don't have access to the computer or the internet to be able to download and look at the backup, maybe like I would on my laptop, since I bring it every time. So it's just a suggestion for future meetings. Thank you.
$725, public hearing is now closed. Item number 16, second reading and adoption of an ordinance requested by the Texas Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on FM 76 North Loop from 55 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour and from 35 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour on school zones in North Loop.
Mayor and Council, Michael Mina again, City Planner. Last year, we were contacted by the state, in this case, the El Paso District for the Texas DOT, and they informed us that they have performed an audit of this roadway. So the recommendation here is a mechanism before you through an ordinance that we can lower the speed limit. The other option is for the state to entertain in Austin the same type of ordinance. In terms of relationship, is that it's probably best if the city acts on it versus the commissioners of TxDOT. So what is before you is to lower that in accordance to their guidelines and recommendations.
Motion to adopt the ordinance on reducing the speed limits on FM 76 from 55 to 45 miles an hour and from 35 to 30 miles an hour in school zones in North Loop.
Second. Yes. Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 17, public hearing of an ordinance amending Ordinance 429 and Muni Code Article 3 in connection with the criteria and procedures necessary to secure building permits for new construction and improvements and repair of existing structures within the city. 727, public hearing is now open.
Excuse me, I signed up for 18, isn't it the same order as 17?
Anybody can speak right now, it's public comment, so you can go ahead and speak. If you want to come up and just state your name, and then speak into the mic.
Again, my name is Albert Ortiz. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and City Manager. I'd like to hear you all to clarify a little bit, because I hope we don't start going the way of what happens in Horizon. A friend of mine lives in Horizon, and he was telling me that his neighbor was painting his own house, right, on his own, you know. I think all of us do that once in a while, do our own repairs. Well, a building inspector shows up and gave him a ticket and told him he needed a permit. He says, "But this is my house." He says, "I don't care, you need a..." So all I'm saying is, if y'all can clarify, hope we don't start going that way. A little totalitarian state, man. You wouldn't be able to fix a faucet because you need a permit. Okay, that's all. Oh, by the way, now that I'm here, real quick, seeing that President Trump is coming to El Paso, are any of you all going to go? So, I thought maybe represent the city of Socorro. And I'll leave it up to you. Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Look at me smile.
Sir, just to clarify, this is concerning the fire code. So nothing to do with painting your house. So we're good on that. Do we have any other speakers? Okay. 729, public hearing is now closed. Item number 18, second reading and adoption of an ordinance amending Ordinance 429 and Muni Code Article 3 in connection with the criteria and procedures necessary to secure building permits for new construction and improvements and repair of existing structures within the city.
Mayor and council members, Michael Mina again. This action here before you is for the city to take back the authority under the home rule to insert and apply certain things that were waived over to the fire marshal. So essentially, is that the fire code that he enforces, we will enforce those same things. We are no longer waiving that authority to the fire marshal. Oh, I'm sorry. Sure. The action before this body is for the city as a home rule city to enforce sections of the fire code that the fire marshal currently has the authority to enforce. We, the city, will enforce that on behalf of the fire marshal.
Ms. Villalobos?
So are you saying you're taking completely the responsibility, or we're becoming partners
So
in the
what we're,
responsibility?
ma'am, so what we're doing is that we are taking back that responsibility of sections of the fire code that a council before you all authorized the fire marshal. Essentially, through the building official and the fire marshal, we can enforce the same codes.
And the reason is, I know it's probably a good reason coming from you, but I just want the public to know why. Why was it originally given to them, and why are we taking it back?
Historically, I really don't know why a home rule city would give authority to another agency. It could have been a functionality of manpower, but essentially here is that now that we have a building official and we have certain criteria that we can enforce through code enforcers, we have that full capability. As a functionality of land use, okay, is that under the fire code, what we would consider as transient dwellings, hotels, apartments, things of that nature, in the code it specifies that the fire marshal has the authority to enforce that. Well, we can't enforce that. We have to have the fire marshal do that on behalf of the city. In my professional opinion, a home rule city should never waive the authority to another agency. So we will take back that responsibility.
So we have the ultimate authority.
I think that this hasn't been done since '86 when the city was reincorporated. And I think that's the reason why, is that there was no manpower to be able to do all of that. And so some of that stuff was farmed out to the agency. And now we're at a point where we can get that back because we do have the manpower to get that done.
Yes, sir, I would agree with that.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance amending ordinance 429 and Muni Code Article 3.
Second.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 19, discussion and action on approval for the election department to utilize Chaya Bodaka Community Center on election day to serve precinct 162 for the May 2019 uniform election.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Mr. Perez?
Is there enough parking? Okay. I would just caution that we have maybe more police presence during election day.
To make sure on the
Because
traffic.
there's a four-way stop, and which reminds me, totally off it, I apologize, we need a crosswalk there, because we have, the other day I just saw a kid crossing on Rio Vista. No, I'm sorry,
Chayo.
Moon Road, going to the
Community Center.
community center, and that's pretty dangerous. Just a safety issue, I apologize.
Question.
Ms. Villalobos?
Do we get charged for this to host this? I mean, what does it cost the city? There's no cost to the city?
We just lend out the building.
Okay, all right, so it's not costing our taxpayers, none of that? Okay, awesome, thank you.
Mr. Udan?
What election are they gonna have? For,
May 2019 uniform election?
okay.
And it may go into 2020 because Socorro will still be under construction by the time.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 20, discussion and action on approval for letter of authority for Apple Developer Program for the City Sourced Inc. app.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's Esteban Gonzalez, IT Coordinator. The purpose of the letter is just to authorize me and the city manager authority to develop and install the Apple Developer Program for the city. The reason why is our Apple Source app has a new rule changeover with the Apple company. So now instead of the Apple Source app developing and doing updates for the company, Apple is now causing every person that works with them to basically create their own app. It's no cost to the city, and it just gives us authority to update and distribute our app.
So,
Mr. Perez?
so that means that those app developers that were doing stuff for Apple are now having to update their own app?
Yes, they already had a contract with Apple to create the app and sell the app and update the app.
Right.
But now Apple is, since they're third-party app builders, so they build one for us, they actually are now charging whoever they're selling it to have the ability to make updates. So, but because we're a government entity, we're waived, basically.
But
So
they're
the fees,
passing it on to the customer.
Roger. But we still have to create a actual account through Apple.
Ms. Villalobos?
Any new technology or something neat about this program, aside from you having
In the
free
future,
reign?
we could create apps we have the ability to hire or create other apps if we want to, using this through Apple.
Mhm.
So that's the plus to this,
Okay. For the use of the city, correct?
for the use of the city only.
All righty, thank you.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 21, discussion and action on approving the unaudited financial reports for November 2018. Do we have a motion?
Oh, make a motion to approve. Second. Aye. Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 22, discussion and action on approving the unaudited financial reports for December 2018.
Make a motion to approve. Second. Aye. Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 23, discussion and action to authorize the City of Socorro to submit a grant application to the Texas Historical Commission, THC fiscal year 2020 Texas Preservation Trust Fund for the Rio Vista Visitor Center project. The city's cash match contribution is $30,000 from existing COs.
Make a motion to,
For
second.
discussion.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, Grants Coordinator. This is a grant application to the Texas Historical Commission, Texas Preservation Trust Fund in the amount of $30,000. We do have to match that dollar to dollar, so our match contribution is $30,000 from the already approved COs for Rio Vista.
Ms. Villalobos?
I just want to thank you. I don't know if we've thanked you enough. I love seeing these type of programs that are helping the city. I do have a concern, though. I'm sorry. We've approved many and several, and where are we with the funding? Is this 2 years from down the road? Is this?
So this grant application, we will know if we are approved in November of 2019, so fall of this year.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that's about how long the grant applications do take to review, especially if they are from a federal source. It's just a lot more competition. But our approach is to submit as many grant applications as possible and try to submit as much as we can.
So this particular application is for fiscal year 2020. Okay, and then the awarding on our monthly reports that we report back is what we're getting in awards with applications we've already submitted.
Okay.
If you look at the grants department, she'll tell you a year overview of everything that she's done throughout the year and what we've accumulated in grants.
Okay, alrighty. And I asked that question because I was asked that question and I didn't know how to answer it. How are we paying for this? When, is it 2 years down the road, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes.
Thank you for answering those questions.
Mr. Rodriguez?
I just want to add, every time we submit a grant, it's for the future. Basically, what we do is we have to upfront the money to say to what department are we going for, whether it would be agricultural or TxDOT or federal money, state or federal, and then we have to say we already have the funding, so we have to set it aside. Whether or not we're awarded that, some applications are 6 months, some are a year, and then it takes about 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years, depending on the type of grant we're going for, that it's per review. Therefore, we might be applying for something that might take 2 or 3 years before we even get awarded, and then another year to be let. So, these are for the long run, but we have to start now, and we have to always set the money aside. That's why they bring it up. The good thing I like, and I want to say thank you, is that you even tell us where the money source is, so we won't have to come and figure, and our our administrator has to come back and say, oh, we're going to have to amend because so-and-so. We already know where the money's at, so I want to say thank you for that because it wasn't done before. So, thank you.
Ms. Villalobos, and then if you can see in the report, it'll tell you which ones have been awarded, the amount.
God bless you.
Right.
Right, so you can kind of reference your constituents, whoever's asking you, that in the monthly report, it gives you all of that information year to date.
Right, okay, thank you.
Aye. Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 24, discussion and action on approval of Resolution 560, authorizing the City of Socorro to submit a grant application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department Community Outdoor Outreach Program for the Socorro Youth Campers Program. The city's in-kind match contribution is $10,000.
Make a motion to approve.
So this is to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. We are requesting grant funds to take Socorro residents, youth, females out to our local state parks. As you know, we are a low-income community. Many of our youth have never been to the Franklin Mountains. Many have not been to the Guadalupe Mountain Range, to Rio Bosque, to some of our local nature areas, and we feel that it's very important. Our match contribution is in kind, and it is $10,000.
Mr. Rodriguez?
When we say our youth, especially our young little girls, right? Ages?
18 and below.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mr. Perez?
I like it, but I just want to make sure that whoever is, I guess, escorting or being the chaperones for these young ladies, that they have a background check. I don't know if that's standard.
Yes,
but I'd like to see that.
this will be coordinated through our Recreation Centers Department, and they do a really good job of getting the right number of staff for these programs and also volunteers.
Ms. Villalobos?
And I know they're gonna ask me, so I'm gonna ask myself. This is only for the ages of 18 and under, and the
18 and
reason is,
We are scored higher on the application to provide services to low-income communities and minority populations. Females are identified as the minority populations, and there is a very low representation of females in some of the jobs that are provided by Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. So we don't have enough female park rangers, female entomologists, biologists, all of that good stuff. So they're trying to promote that through this grant.
great information, thank you.
Mhm.
Aye. Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 25, discussion and action on approval of Resolution 561 of support for the Tierra del Sol Housing Corporation's application to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs for low-income housing tax credits for Hacienda Santa Barbara Apartments in Socorro, Texas.
Make a motion to approve.
No, well,
I'm sorry, somebody from the Tierra del Sol Housing Corporation should have been here, but I can answer some questions. The Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs does provide this tax credit for housing developments that are promising to provide low-income housing resources. And so this is what they're trying to do. The Tierra del Sol Housing Corporation provides a number of very useful housing programs, such as a down payment assistance program that we have promoted through our social media, and a housing rehabilitation program as well.
Aye. Yes.
Aye.
yes.
Item number 27, discussion and action on the preliminary plat approval for Juliflora Subdivision Unit 1, being all of Tract 5R, Block 78, Section 7, Township 4, Texas and Pacific Railway Surveys.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This developer is proposing to break down 17 acres in Socorro's ETJ into half-acre lots. They're proposing 34 residential lots. The lots are designed to have potable water from the Lower Valley Water District and electrical services. This land is about 13,000 feet outside the city's limit. and it's owned by HZ Ventures. They're also proposing to have on-site septic tanks and on-site ponding. This is the area they're proposing to break down. This is the first phase of a future upcoming development next door. On this land, the Planning and Zoning Commission is recommending approval with the condition that they provide a park. They're required to provide 2.5% of the land for a park. The size of that park would be approximately 1 or half-acre lot. So if they provide a park, it will be one of those lots. The other option would be for them to pay 2.5% of the appraised values of the land. According to the 2018 tax roll, the cost would be approximately $109.38.
Mr. Perez?
Joe, very quickly, is there a lot size, only because I don't remember anymore, a lot size requirement to have on-site wastewater disposal?
They gotta have at least 10,000 square feet. In this case, they are proposing half-acre lots.
So
Yes.
that's suffices?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Villalobos?
I'm blind. I have no idea where that is at, and we didn't have this right now, so
Yes,
I'm
this,
trying to read this and I can't.
this land is following Darrington Road up to Dairyland, where Dairyland subdivision is on Ascension. You go in through Ascension and then Dairyland, and it's right here in the middle of the desert.
Okay, and so the city of Socorro is the ETJ, and that's why they're bringing this to us.
Yes, correct.
And so the city has already approved it, or the county?
They haven't been to the county, I believe. Yeah.
Good evening, Luis Gutierrez from G3 Engineering. It's preliminary approved already. It's just the approval from the city of Socorro.
Okay, thank you.
No, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second. Aye.
I hate yelling, but I don't know what else to do. Three things, maybe. The first are a couple of things that I had brought up at the Planning and Zoning Commission that I attended when this was on their agenda. I want to think about the future, and because it is in our ETJ, there's a possibility that it may become part of the city, right? That's an idea. And so I guess I want us to have that framework in mind when we are thinking about approving a subdivision anytime. The second thing I want to point out is that usually this is the type of conversation that the line of reasoning that I hear either here at Planning and Zoning. It's only the preliminary plat. What's the big deal? Just approve it. Then we get to the second stage and we say, what's the plat approval? We already approved the preliminary plat, so this one must be fine, right? And then it just gets approved. And then we get to the final stage and then we realize that there's all these problems and we're saying, you know what, we can't do anything about it because we already approved it, and so we're just gonna go ahead and approve it. I'm throwing those things out there because that has been happening, you know, in other aspects, and I'm just gonna point that out. As far as the park, I think it's important. If you don't reserve land now,
I'm sorry, I cannot hear. Can you please? I apologize. Again, I apologize. I'm sorry for interrupting.
it's okay, I understand. What was I saying? Oh, if we don't reserve land now for the park, it's not gonna be there in the future. And so that compared to getting $109, I think it would be a disservice either to this community or to the city of Socorro once it becomes our land, that there wouldn't be an area for land, even though it might be small, it can grow bigger later. Thank you.
I have a question.
Ms. Villalobos?
For either gentleman, for planning and zoning. I know we've made some changes to our development for our developers. Does this fall into those changes for recommendation? I know there's some items that I can't think off the top of my head that we kind of changed. This falls under that?
No, this is a property that is located in a colonia-style subdivision. Some of the improvements that are required in our subdivision design criteria do not apply to this subdivision.
Because it's a colonia?
Well, because of the design of and the location of the proposed development, it doesn't make sense to install the provisions that are required in the subdivision design ordinance, because it wouldn't be beneficial, and it will just make it worse. We consider it a hazard if we enforce putting curbs, sidewalks, and stuff in this little area, because it's not a. See, if you look at the way this, you would only have a sidewalk and a curb on one side of the road and not on the other one. So it would be off shape. It doesn't apply to this subdivision.
So it doesn't conform to the area, in other words?
Yes.
I'd like to go ahead and reiterate, even though I made the motion to approve, I'd like to go ahead and reiterate the staff recommendations. Number one, a 2.5% of the total land as a physical park or in cash value. Letter of service availability from the utility companies. Applicable pending fees. Deed restrictions and/or covenants regarding the type and character of development that will be permitted in the subdivision to prevent construction of substandard buildings.
Mr. Rodriguez?
What you just read, Mr. Perez, this is for your attorney. It's still in our ordinance, one of our ordinances, right, that says that they can give us the park or cash?
Correct.
So we're giving him the option. Could we just say, just give us the park?
I believe so, yes.
I have a question
Just-
along to that.
So then, I'd like to amend my motion at this time.
I mean, I'm just
If that's
saying.
okay with you all?
Yes.
Before you amend, let me ask a question.
Okay.
Ms. Villalobos?
Thank you, I'm sorry. We always say 2.5%, total, but what are we talking about? 5% versus a park? What is the cost?
So the costs were taken, like I just read on the report, the costs were taken off the 2018 tax roll. The 2019 hasn't come out yet. It's based on the total area. This owner has 245 acres here. We just subtracted the amount of area they want to subdivide and got the 2.5% based on the value of this area.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the park. The cost of a park versus the 2.5? That's exactly
Yes.
what you're talking about?
No, the park is calculated based on the size of the area. They're proposing 17.58 acres. 2.5% of that will be 0.44 acres. So it's going to be a tiny park, the size of one of those lots that you see on the plan.
So the city, if we vote on no park and we go for the 2.5%, what is that cash value?
The cash value is on the second page of your report. That would be about $109.38.
That's the cash value we get.
Yes, ma'am. That's why the Planning and Zoning Commission said they're recommending that they just dedicate one of those lots as a park.
Gentlemen and city council, that is.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Hence the wording as I asked our attorney.
So at this point, if I may, Madam Mayor, is to impose a condition of having a physical park built in lieu of submitted cash value.
Second.
Second. Did you second it? I'm sorry. I thought you said exactly.
No,
I
I said
apologize.
Asuncion needs parks. Asuncion needs parks. Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Mr. Duran?
Mayor, at this time, I'd like to see if we can take a little break. Take a break. Bathroom break? I have to spell it out.
7:56, we'll have a,
Make a motion to take a 10-minute break.
Second.
There's 8 items still on here. That's pretty good.
Yes.
Let me think about that. No, I.
Yes. I don't need to go to the bathroom today. Yes.
7:56, we're in recess.